Thank you very much. We'll hear next from Mr. Higashi.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm a Japanese politician who flew to New York to listen to my international colleagues and for the precious 8 minutes given to me. Thus, allow me to be candid and provocative. My major purposes are twofold. One is to emphasize Japan's readiness for and commitment to concerted effort to expand global economy. Resolving trade and growth contracting issues such as accumulated debt in Brazil, Mexico, Philippines, and other developing countries should be one such effort as focused upon in this congressional summit. My other purpose is to advertise Japan's commendable trade policies implemented so far, and thus hopefully to correct the outdated image of Japan and its policies some of you may have. Incidentally, the most impending political issue in Japan is tax reforms, as you stated. Japan tax reform will impact upon the Japanese economy and its industrial structure, which will impact upon, which will in turn impact upon international trade. I am an active participant in such tax reforming processes, which are in the final stage this week. Nevertheless, I decided to attend this congressional summit to exchange views with so many distinguished participants from relevant countries. Candid talks face-to-face among political leaders have been and will continue to be more indispensable than ever because the solution to today's trade issues increasingly requires effective political leadership to impact upon bureaucratic inertia. Just before I left Tokyo, I met with Prime Minister Nakasone to seek his remarks for this conference. His message was, sustained U.S. strength is essential both for stability of the international monetary system and for sustaining free trade systems. Today's major trade issues include huge amounts of Japanese trade surpluses, competition from advanced developing countries, and accumulated debt problems in Mexico, Brazil, and other Latin American countries, and recently in the Philippines. Foreign exchange realignment also affects trade directions and structures. To resolve these issues on a global basis, we need comprehensive, gradual, and effective approaches as suggested by U.S. Treasury Secretary Baker. All major countries should take their share of responsibilities. As for Japan's part, we are willing to take on our newly enlarged international responsibilities. Our recent efforts may be categorized in 4 policy areas as follows: macroeconomic policy coordination for higher growth, stability of international monetary system and foreign exchange rates, trade liberalization policies, and financing for developing countries. For higher growth, Japan passed recently a supplementary budget amounting to 3.6 trillion to finance a stimulative package. As stated at the beginning of my speech, we have just decided this week in Tokyo to implement tax reforms to reduce personal and corporate income taxes by 4.5 trillion yen. These tax reforms are designed to be revenue neutral for the immediate short period, but stimulative in the medium to long term. Japan has successively lowered its official discount rate in full consultation and cooperation with the United States, reaching the historically lowest point of 3.0% on November 1st this year. These low interest rates will help stimulate domestic demand and alleviate debt burden in LTCs. According to an IMF estimate, Japanese domestic demand will grow by 4.2% at an annual rate, highest of 7 major developed countries. For exchange rates, Japan has been coordinating extremely well with the United States and EC countries in implementing exchange realignment policies since the Prada Agreement in September of last year. U.S. Treasury Secretary Baker and Japanese Finance Minister Miyazawa agreed on October 31st, 1986, that yen-dollar exchange rate realignment was now broadly consistent with the economic fundamentals and promised to continue cooperating in exchange market policies. In trade areas, Japan's market opening measures have been unprecedentedly bold and drastic, I think. Since they have been so rapid and drastic, politicians and business persons in many countries, probably including participants here, may not have noticed how open Japanese market has become. In terms of number of import quotas in the industrial and mining sectors, Japan counts only one, as compared with 6 for the United States and 2, 1, 27, and 5 for Britain, West Germany, France, and Italy, respectively. Japan's average tariff rate as of 1983 is a low 2.5% as compares with 3.5% in the United States and 2.7% in EC and 4.2% in Canada. American trade negotiators and politicians tend to attribute a huge amount of trade imbalances to Japanese non-tariff barriers and other unfair practices. But this can hardly explain the persisting and increasing Japanese trade surpluses. For tariff reduction, I do not want to waste your time by referring to each of tariff reduction or elimination on over 3,000 items since January 1986. In line with Japan's action program, we have been liberalizing interest rates, first removing the interest rate ceiling for large denominating time deposit. We opened the Tokyo offshore market on December 1st, Monday of this week, to liberalize and internationalize the Tokyo financial and capital market. We already issued trust bank operation licenses to 9 foreign trust banks and accepted 6 foreign security companies to the Tokyo Stock Exchange. We also diversified the features of European bonds to help develop the euro-yen market as of April 1st. We have been aggressively proceeding toward the admittance of foreign lawyers to practice in Japan and intensified our checking for counterfeit products. The government of Japan had requested 134 major corporations in 1985 and 302 companies in 1986 to expand import. It set import promotion months, opening import bazaars and fairs, expanding financing for manufactured import, and implemented many other import promoting campaigns. The Japanese government requested the distribution industry in Japan to take advantage of the yen appreciation to promote import. The government also encourages direct Japanese investment in foreign countries with more aggressive financing. For accumulated debt issues, I want to remind you of Finance Minister Miyazawa's initiatives and commitments at the last IMF World Bank annual meeting in Washington last October. Miyazawa's proposals include, first, Japan's special lending of its foreign reserves to the IMF amounting to 3 billion SDRs. Second, extension of untied loans through Japan Export-Import Bank to be co-financed with World Bank loans. $1 billion was made available for Mexico through this scheme. Brazil, Philippines, and Indonesia are likely to follow as candidates for such loans. Third, a special contribution of $3.5 billion to IDA on top of the regular Japanese share of 0.7% with a total Japanese contribution amounting to $12 billion. In addition to Miyazawa's initiatives, Japanese private banks made early commitment to the Mexican rescue package when they were requested to extend new money.
Your time has expired.
In Rio de Janeiro, you would be allowed to drive on with red lights.
With that?
I'm afraid U.S.
Okay.
Congress is uncompromising.
I'll heard.
We'll give you an opportunity
Okay.
to come back perhaps later. I'd like next to ask Congressman Schumer, who announced yesterday that he would denounce a ripoff today.
Well, I'd like to first
congratulate the sponsors of this conference, Senator Bradley and Congressman Kemp, Senators Bingaman and Domenici, Congressman Wright, because I think the conference has really done and Senator Danforth. I know I left someone out. He stayed the shortest amount of time, so he should go last. In any case, I think the conference has been extremely valuable to me, and I hope to everybody else, and I believe to everybody